all art has to express this basic self and the way we understand this basic self in the body. I went to the Joffrey Ballet once when I was visiting New York a few years ago, and I saw a dance in which some bright fellow had thought that creativity means always being creative, and whatever you do, you create from that. Whatever you do, you create from that, and from that, and from that, which meant that in the dance, they never did this and then this. It was always this. It was intensely dissatisfying. There is something in human nature that wants to bring you back to your center. Just as there is something in the ocean that goes up and down, it needs to come back to the center. So all art has to come back to that, and anybody who thinks, well, he's got a bright idea and he wants to change it, will be doing something that is unnatural and against his own nature. So anytime you want to create art, first of all, try to get an idea of who you are and what you are. Everything needs to come back to a center. I don't know much about painting. I've done a little bit, and this is where what I meant when I said I may be speaking garbage. I don't know, but I think that inasmuch as God is center everywhere, circumference nowhere, it seems to me that everything must begin at its center, and therefore I suspect that everything in art also has sort of a center of gravity, and whether it's in the center of the painting or not, it's got to have that focus. I'm a little out on a limb here. I don't mind anybody contradicting me, because the basic principles of what I'm saying are valid and are eternal. I remember I did this painting of the spiritual eye, and it was sort of an interesting experience for me, because I had a poem of my guru's, a prayer, which I wanted to give to the monks in SRF for Christmas. And I thought it would be lovely to have pictures in there. I knew nothing about how much it would cost to print colored pictures, so I just thought of several. There was a member in our Hollywood church who was German, and her daughter lived in Germany, and I'd seen some of her work, and I thought it was just beautiful. I thought that would be wonderful, so I asked this lady if she could write to her daughter and ask the daughter if she could do some illustrations for this book, which we sent her. Well, finally, at the beginning of December, mind you, Christmas is December 5th. That's rather late in the game. This was back in September when I started the process. Beginning of September, I got these pictures. They were absolutely awful. The angels sitting on clouds playing the violin, and, just nothing that said anything at all, and not at all the mood of that particular poem. So then there was a member of our church there who was a Walt Disney artist, and I asked him if he could do something, and he gave me a sketch of what he had in mind, and it just didn't do it. He didn't have the feeling of the poem. So I was meditating. I was really determined that this should happen. And I was sitting in my meditation room, and suddenly this idea came to me, and I thought, well, let me give him an idea, and then he can make a painting out of it. So I went downtown and bought some watercolors, and I didn't know watercolor technique. I had done a little bit of oils when I was a child, so I did it in sort of oil technique, but I did it, and it wasn't quite right, but I changed it a little bit. I wanted sort of waves coming up to this spiritual eye, and it was just much too dark, so I painted little white lines, very fine, to make it an upward movement toward the spiritual eye. And that was much too bright, so I covered that over with blue, thinking, what'll I do now? And it just looked perfect. Layered like this with sort of dark sort of wave effect underneath and that brighter wave effect, and then, I don't know, it was just wonderful. Then the spiritual eye, I had a picture of Master in front of, you've all seen that picture, and I had him with his arms up, and it was sort of, the hands were like the spiritual eye, and the arms also had that, and the hair also had sort of a similar curve to it. I don't know how, but it was a very nice painting. I decided I didn't need any help. And again and again, I found that when I needed to do something, I didn't need to know the art of it. I needed to tune into it.